surprised they even agreed to do this.
Well, they said they wanted this to be kind of like a warning or like a cautionary tale for those people that, you know, the people who don't believe in paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. You ready?
Ready than I'll ever be.
Let's do this.
If you need to take a break or stop at any point, just let me know.
Okay.
Can you state your name?
Cynthia Marquez.
What's a paranormal experience you've had that has stuck with you to this day?
The guy that's been following me that's dressed in black.
Have you ever seen this dude before?
Yes, I have.
When was the first time that you've seen this?
I was 5 years old when I saw him.
What was the first experience you've had with him?
It was raining out at night, and it thundered. And when I opened my eyes, I was looking towards the doorway, and he came out from behind the couch. And since then, he followed our family for a long time.
Have you always been a believer of the supernatural?
Yes.
Have you seen him recently, now that you're an adult? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. And they slept in separate rooms. I want to say like 4 days out of my getting out of the room, I finally went to check on him. And he finally let me in the room. And I found him stabbed. When we took him to the hospital, he kept mentioning that he finally believed in the man in black, is what I always referred to him as. And I asked him why, and he said he'd been spending this whole time with him for those 4 days in that room, and he constantly told him to stab himself.
Has the activity stopped? Like, have you stopped seeing this man?
I believe so. I mean, we haven't seen it or heard about him since that day, which has only been 2 years ago.
Has this experience changed your perception on life?
Yes, it has.
How has it affected you?
It's affected me. Well, I mean, it's affected all of us, I want to say, because it's made us more subjective, I want to say, in the aspect that paranormal activity does exist.
Kind of like walk us in.
You want to check it?
Yeah.
So this is the room I came in, and this is where that guy would come out of, the man in black, and he said he would cause him to sit down here and to want to cut his throat, so he was afraid to cut his throat, so he would just stab his leg. So that man constantly followed me. We moved to another house. I saw him there. I even saw him in San Carlos during the summer when I was with my grandma. He would never say anything to me. He would just stand and like walk towards me.
I'm not getting the chance.
Yeah, it walked towards me. So when all of that happened, I was like, after I was telling him, like, what did you, when we were at the hospital, I'm like, well, why did you do that? He's like, I finally saw the man in black. And I was like, what man in black? And he's like, the one you've been seeing. And I'm like, what? And I hadn't seen him for years. I mean, the last time I saw him, I want to say I was probably like 12 when I saw him in San Carlos.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, he's real. And I'm like, what do you mean he's real? He's like, he stood with me in that room. He stood with me. I said, did he talk to you? What do you mean? What are you talking? And I kept asking, were you drunk? Were you high? Were you on drugs or what? And he was like, no. He's like, I was in there. He's like, I had been tired. I hadn't been sleeping for days. He's like, just thinking about the divorce and everything, and then knowing the next room, and I couldn't fix what was going on. He's like, when he appeared to me, he would tell him to go inside the closet and to stab himself. Just end it. He's like, but before that, I kept hearing somebody. Before he saw me, he said he kept hearing somebody that would tell him to go kill first.
Oh my
And when we found like 4 days, those 4 days they had been there, he'd been stabbing himself. So when we found him, like, I had been calling, he wouldn't answer. It's like, hey, you're not to eat or nothing. And I was like, well, what's wrong? I finally came over and I was like, open the door. And he was like, bring me some water. So I came and got him water, and I was not leaving. He's like, can you just leave the water there and leave? You can't be here, Miss. Yeah, you can't be here. And I'm like, I need to know that you're okay. I said, you didn't come out that room. And you could smell something coming out of through that in the hallway. That whole hallway stunk. And I was like, what? Just open the door and let me know you're okay. Because at this point I was thinking, he's not even getting out to go to the restroom. Is he using the restroom in the room or what? Mm-hmm. So when he opened the door, like, he opened the door and he was pale. And I could see the blood, like where he had been touching and stuff, like, but dried up on his body. And I just put my foot in the door and pushed the door open. And he walked back towards the bed and just kind of laid there. And he's like, go. But he had already, like, closed the door, kind of made the bed. And he's like, I'm just tired. I need to go to bed. I haven't slept. And I was like, no. So we called the officers. They finally came and they're like, well, he seems okay. I'm like, yeah, but he's bleeding. He's from somewhere. Something's wrong. So finally they ended up taking him to the hospital. When they took him to the hospital, I remember that one and covered the bed. There was, like, blood everywhere. Like, where he was just bleeding out. And he later told me, he's like, I was just waiting to die. I just didn't want to slit my throat. I was like, I just knew I was going to die that way, but it was going to take me time. And there he is, still walking around.
And has he had any more experience with them? Like, I know he hasn't seen him anymore?
He says he hasn't. And, well, when we brought him back from the hospital, maybe like 2 weeks later, because he had to go through intense therapy to repair the muscles, the leg, and all of that, we sat at the table and we were talking about it, and he was just kind of like ignoring it. Well, that same night he stayed, and I went home when he called me, like, at 2, and she's like, something's wrong. So I came over here, and he kept telling me he was seeing somebody there. So I kind of just stayed with him. But I can tell you, like, I was at unease. Like, I wasn't comfortable either. So I spent that night, and after that, that's when he finally moved. Like, maybe within that week, he left. He didn't come back. Then we bought the house. And I mean, by the time he came, we had changed out carpets and bedding and everything. But we later had the house blessed and stuff.
That's what was my next question. What have you done in order to kind of protect yourself, or to kind of feel safe now after the fact, and having this man that has been after you for so long? Like, what have you done to protect yourself, or to feel that, you know, okay, this is what I can do to...
We continuously have a lady that comes and blesses the house for that same thing. But she does, when they did the first blessing, I was always at ease. Like, and there was just something about that. Like, I couldn't turn that corner at that time. So when they did the blessing, it felt different. Like, you know.
Yeah. What do you say to people who don't believe in stuff like this, who think that it's just, oh, whatever?
It's a bunch of hocus pocus. No, it's
Yeah.
not. It's real. It's real. I believe it's real. I think that it feeds off of your fears, you know, even as a child. I think that, like they say, there's good, there's evil, you know. God, those of you that have spiritual beliefs believe that Jesus Christ, God, our Savior, you know, and of course on the other end you have Satan, Lucifer. So I think it's just your beliefs, what you know, grow up to believe in, and once again, like I said, your fears, if anything.
Thank you for sharing. You please state your name.
Like my whole name? Natalie Marquez.
Are you a believer of the supernatural?
I'm not. Cynthia is.
Have you ever had a paranormal experience?
Yes.
What's a or the paranormal experience you've had that sticks with you to this day?
think it was more my kids' paranormal activity situation. It really wasn't about me. But yeah.
Did you ever see the ghost?
No, I heard it.
Can you tell us more about when it exactly happened?
It was a couple of years ago. I can't really pinpoint when. I know Ed was maybe like 2 and then Eli was 4 or 5.
Can you tell us a story about this encounter?
Okay, so we were trying to wean the kids out of our room and into their own room. So they share a room. They have 2 twin beds, and they would both just not sleep in there. So, you know, I'm thinking they just make up these excuses of, Mom, there's something under the bed. Mom, there's something in the closet. Mom, there's someone in there at night. We don't want to sleep in there. But I'm, you know, thinking they're just being brats, and they're just looking for an excuse. So I left it alone. I never brought it up to Dad. I just went on about my day. A couple of days later, so Dad's brother-in-law came to stay with us for a couple of days, and you know, like I said, I had never mentioned this to anybody. So he stayed in the boys' room, and the boys slept with us. And in the morning, it was like 10 o'clock, and he calls me, and he's like, "Hey, I have to tell you something." And I'm like, "What is it?" He's like, "You know, bull crap aside, I don't believe in this stuff, but last night I was asleep in the boys' room, and around 3 o'clock, I kept hearing the cat scratching the closet door." So he's like, "I woke up to let the cats out of the closet, but the closet door was open." So then he's like, and then I would see this black shadow just come out of the closet and then just hide under Edward's bed. And he was like, "I couldn't do it." He's like, "I left. That's why your door was unlocked this morning." He's like, I've never experienced it. And it automatically clicked. I'm like, what the hell? This is exactly what my kids were telling me. I just wasn't listening to them. So I called my sister because she's, you know, more into this stuff than I am. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I was upset. I was like, you know, what's going on? So she found this lady that does cleanses in your home and stuff. And so she, you know, came in, I think it was like, the next day? And so she comes and she starts, you know, with holy water, and she kind of just lets me know, you know, we're just going to pray and through all your rooms and, you know, just kind of cleanse everything out. So sure enough, she starts in my room, which is at the farther end of the house, and she's just going through it. She's cleansing my kitchen, my living room. When we get to this little part right here, I noticed my cats. I had two little cats. They were just like freaking out. Like their eyes were just weird. I don't know. So she goes into this boy's room. She starts, you know, spraying the walls down with holy water and praying. And the cats go under the bed, and they're just looking at her with like, kind of like in a little pounce mode. Like they had their little hands out, and they were just like making eye contact, just watching what she was doing. It was the weirdest thing. So then, you know, she's walking out of the room, and this lady speaks nothing but Spanish. So I'm standing right here, and she's crossing over to the other room, and I hear somebody scream, "Get out!" And then she's like, "Mija, ¿qué era eso?" And I'm like, "Usted le dijo que se fuera." And she is like, she reminded me, I don't talk English. I don't speak English. And I was like, all right. So that's when I said, you know, I'll see you later, cats. I'll see you later, house. And I ran out the house so quick. Anyway, so after that, you know, the kids, they instantly changed. Like they were so comfortable, and they started sleeping in the room again. And ever since then, yeah, apparently there's a crazy witch lady here somewhere, and it ain't me.
Okay, and then can you explain what the kids saw? Like, did they see?
They
what
would
saw?
see something dark, a dark person or something under the bed and in the closet, and they were always just telling me there's something there. And I was like, I'm thinking it's the lighting, maybe they're just the shadows at night. That's what I thought. I mean,
What did your brother-in-law see?
he saw that dark shadow that would go from the wall all the way under the bed, and the scratching that he heard, and all that. I mean, he was freaked out.
Do you feel like the presence in that room was a negative or a positive?
Me personally, I didn't feel anything. When it said get out, it sounded very upset. Dad and the boys, they still don't sleep in that room. I ended up switching the boys to this room and just turned that room into like a playroom.
Do you have any clue who the spirit might be?
I don't. I mean, what is it, a spirit? So pretty much what that lady ended up telling me was just that, you know, I have a lot of neighbors in the back, and they're like, somebody practices dark magic back there, and the corners of the houses seem to draw it into the home, or you know, something about the type of material you have that's around your house, like if it's brick or stucco, all that stuff, it attracts certain energies. So she said,
till this day, do you still feel like you still have that negative energy roaming around your house still?
they say I am, but me personally, no, not really. I mean, I don't know. I'm comfortable at home. I like being home. So maybe this, whatever it is it's friends with me. It just don't like the kids and stuff, you know?
Okay, so Natalie, you mentioned that what the boys would see and what your cuñado would see, your brother-in-law would see, was a black shadow, where's black stuff. Cynthia, do you believe that maybe it was the same presence that would visit you from when you were younger? Do you think that there's any connection to that?
No, I don't think it is. I honestly don't feel like it is. I do think that it was like the lady that when she cleansed the house, because she did tell me that it was two different type of things later. We did talk about that.
Do you think that, Natalie, do you think that seeing that affected your children in any way?
I think it made them, a little more skittish.
I can honestly say that when she did the cleansing, the kids were actually following her around because they felt that she was good. The lady was good. Because they even said she got the lady out of the house.
Yeah, they told her you got the lady out of the house. So I guess it was a lady, the dark lady. I don't know. I mean, the voice is.
I don't want to creep y'all out, but never mind.
You better stop.
So, Natalie, you said that you don't believe in paranormal things. How can you still say that you don't? Like, how can your belief still not be that that exists when it happened in your own home?
I mean, it definitely made me like, okay, really wonder, like, oh, okay, maybe there is, you know. I just have a lot of questions, you know. But now I do believe there is a greater power or a different power. There's different energy.
There's just certain aspects of it that you don't, that you still like, nah, that.
Yeah, there's just some extra, you know, sci-fi stuff that I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, but let something happen. She'll be having me call somebody.
That will call her.
That's
There's no lady
the
over
first
there.
one she calls.
I'll
Now,
tell you
can you
what.
bring her over here? There's something wrong going on.
Can you call the lady? It's just my life is falling apart. Call the lady. Natty, she don't fix that. Okay, where's the shot?
So how do y'all each feel about the fact that y'all both had some kind of experience? You know, this is titled The Haunting of the Marquez Sisters. So how do y'all each feel about the fact that there is still something surrounding not only you, but other parts of your family?
It makes me wonder, like,
Are we the problem?
am I the problem?
Am I the drama?
Do
No,
we
I
draw
don't
this
think
in?
it was me and her. I think it was my parents because you know I
all
just
started with
feel
them.
they initiated it and I wouldn't even try to be part of it. I was over here minding my business and stuff, and she was the one that got the crappy end of the stick most of the time. I guess it made me feel more like like maybe I am part of their clan. I don't know.
She's the problem.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thank you guys for sharing.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.